Warning, this episode contains brain food that will lead to improved emotional and social intelligence. Hello and welcome to our new short format servings of consciously prepared brain food designed to improve your mental fitness. This is Lisa Cypers Kamen, your host. For more than 12 years, we've been proudly and consistently crafting harvesting happiness and sharing it with you. Each week, we spotlight diverse thinkers and doers who are contemporary trendsetters and change agents devoting their lives to creating a better world in which to live. We invite you to listen up and change the way you think about human happiness. Our award-winning content is fresh, optimistic, and purpose-driven media that promotes well-being from the inside out. Alrighty then, let's dive in. This episode offers psychosocial education designed to inspire and motivate our listeners. The information provided does not constitute a therapeutic relationship nor a substitute for professional mental health care. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, call 911, go to your nearest emergency room, or for listeners in the United States, text 988 for the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me on today's show, where you will learn how to declutter the nooks and crannies of your life. My guest today is Tracy McCubbin. She describes herself as obsessive, compulsive, delightful. While working for a major TV director in Los Angeles, Tracy discovered she had the ability to see through any mess and clearly envision a clutter-free space. She is the author of Making Space Clutter-Free, the last book on decluttering you'll ever need. Tracy, thanks for coming back to hang out with me today.
Super happy to be here.
Me too. So today, our mission is in less than 30 minutes to give people some tools, some intervention and new skills to declutter their lives. So let's talk about how we can clutter bust and what the clutter magnets are.
Great. So, I think sometimes people get really wrapped around the axles about like this decluttering has to be this big, giant, drawn out process. And what I found after doing this for 17 years with people is that there are such small changes you can make that pay off right away. That just little changes you can do. And one of my favorite ones, and this is people can implement this starting today, is look, here's how the clutter gets in our house. We buy it. We bring it in, we buy it. We bring the clutter in. So I want everybody to stop saying, I need a new pair of jeans. I need a new bathing suit. I need. You don't need, you want. That's okay. But acknowledging that you just want it and you don't need it, all of a sudden it takes the power away. It takes the grip it's got on you, and you find yourself shopping less.
Yes, the difference between want and need. We'll have to think about that. But yes, we do want a lot of things. We don't need a lot of things. That's true. But let's talk about why we overbuy. Is it just because we're robotic? We're just or we're just media whores, and we are attracted to what what print media tells us is the greatest, latest fashion. What is it?
I think it's both things. I think one, we are being marketed to 24 hours a day. Back in the olden days, when I was a kid, there were 3 TV channels. You knew when the commercials were coming. You'd get up and get a glass of water or use the restroom. Now it's 24 hours a day. News cycle, social media, it's coming at you all the time. So I think we've lost a lot of our media literacy. We've sort of forgotten that this is ads. And look, influencers need to make money, and I get it. But when you start to see, I always tell people, when you start to see one product popping up on 40 different influencers' pages, they're being paid. You're being marketed to. So I think that's a really big thing. And then the other part of it, and this is where the clutter magnets come in, is that we're trying to fill something we think is missing inside of us by shopping. I'm a 58-year-old woman. I am being marketed to all the time. I am being told that I need anti-aging. And I'm just going to say this, the opposite of anti-aging is dead. Like, I want to age, right? I want to grow old. So, it's playing on my insecurities and my lack of self-confidence. And when those things exist, and that's what I call a clutter magnet. Like, if you don't have strong self-confidence, that eye cream is going to make you think you can fix it. If feel like you're so busy and they're marketing products that are going to buy you free time, if you're looking for true connection, if you feel lonely, you're going to go out shopping because that's going to give you a little hit of dopamine, and you're going to have an interaction, and you're going to feel like you're connecting. I was talking to a client recently who COVID was very hard on. She retired from her job, and then COVID hit. So she had a very social job, and she basically got a shopping addiction. Her house was full. And she said, I just didn't see anybody anymore. I couldn't play bridge. Church was online. I didn't go to work anymore. I self-admitted have been shopping like a drunken sailor. And the first thing we did, I was like, can you go back to playing bridge? And her husband was like, yes, there's a game at 4:00 today. I'm going to drive her, But she went and she started playing bridge with her ladies again. And then all of a sudden, once a week, she was connecting. So when we are missing something inside of ourselves, we're trying to magnetize it. And we've sort of been convinced that buying something will do that.
Well, shopping can be fun. Buying can be fun, but it is not a substitute for some of these things that you're talking about, like that real connected, loving relationship that makes us feel like we're seen and we're heard. And I think we do all crave that. And shopping does become a substitute for that. It is an addictive kind of behavior. But then there's the clutter aspect, that we bring this crap into our house. And how do we learn to let go and move the other stuff, the old stuff out? Like, why is it so hard for us to let go of our old papers, our old clothing, our old pots and pans?
Because we've told ourselves these stories. I know you've talked about this. Humans are meaning-making machines, right?
Yes.
We make meaning out of everything. So all of a sudden, I had this experience. I got married a couple months ago, and it was one of the greatest weekends of my life. It was just such a fun party.
How fun!
Thank you. It was so fun. And it was just all of our people that we love. And I loved my dress. And, it was fantastic. And the other day, dress came back from the dry cleaner, and I looked at it and I was like, it's just a dress now. It doesn't, the memories of the day are in the photos and what I remember. And like, now I just have a dress that's hanging in plastic, and okay. But so many people are like, no, but the dress was the wedding. And it's like, no, the experience was the wedding. The memories was the wedding. So where I think we get completely out of whack is that we dump all that stuff on the stuff. We dump all that feeling and attachment to the stuff instead of putting it where it should be. The fact that both of my parents are still alive and were able to be at the wedding, the fact that my brother walked me down that stuff. And then the dress is the dress. So
question of the expert, will you keep the dress or sell the dress?
Both of my nieces, and I have a 24-year-old niece, have said that they would like to wear it. So I'm gonna hang on to it until the first one if she gets married, then I'll do that.
So the dress is still going to live in your house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just checking that.
But to be fair, very if she gets married and doesn't want to wear it, it's going to go away.
It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Exactly. Yes.
I think this is where a lot of us get really blocked, right? Like, we all have, that this is special, that's special, blah, blah, blah. And you call it the specialness spiral in your book. How do we break that spiral or break that loop? It's like, we can't, everything can't be special in our house. Like, it's not possible.
Yeah. If everything's special, nothing's special. That's the way I look at it. If everything's special, the specialness spiral is fascinating. So I'm going to give the cliff notes of it, but basically, if you buy something and you bring it into your house, like you buy a nice candle or, some china or something, and you deem it special and you don't use it right away. So you're like, I'm saving this for a special occasion. All of a sudden it takes on this whole new meaning, and then nothing ever becomes special enough, right? Like no date is special enough. So it just gets more special and more special. And then you never use the thing. I have helped so many people, like after their parents had passed away, where their parents who'd been married for 50 years had wedding gifts that they never used because they deemed them special. And what I'm saying is every day is special. You got up, you woke up today, you put your feet on the floor, you took a breath. Today is special. Wear that beautiful blouse to the grocery store. Light that candle. Put your pizza on china because why not?
Use the crystal, use the silver.
And everyone's like, well, what if it breaks? And it's like, well, yeah. And by the way, it might as well be broken if you've never used it. So, we get trapped in this. And I think coming out of the pandemic too, where we were sort of living in sweatpants and t-shirts forever, like, wear your nice clothes. You love them. You feel fantastic in them. Wear them. And so this is where it becomes clutter, right? It becomes clutter when you're not using it. And when 3/4 of your closet is full of clothes you don't ever wear and candles you'll never burn and china, crystal goblets you don't use. That's when it becomes clutter. If you use it and love it, mazel tov, keep it. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that. I'm a big fan of cleaning out the closet and reselling clothing because I had so much clothing. And I went from leading a very social life to, in COVID, it was, not social, obviously. And I was athleisure became my fashion statement. And I quite frankly have never bounced back from that. Because at this phase of my life, I'm like, I'm pretty comfortable here with the athleisure.
I
feel good. I'll just put a good handbag or a good pair of boots or a good pair of heels with that if I need to dress it up, and I'm fine. And that's a good thing. And I cleared out. I mean, I'm giving you my own, decluttering therapy session here, but it was like, what could be sold? What could be donated, and just get rid of it and be liberated with closet space.
Exactly. And what's so powerful about this exercise too, is that you acknowledge where you are in the moment, right? You're like, this is my life now. And I'm super happy with it. Every time I go into a closet and people are like, well, I want to get back into those clothes. Like, it's sort of this always looking backwards and always beating yourself up for where you are. I mean, again, I'm 58, like, my body's changed. Gravity has hit.
Oh, girl, we're never going to fit into those same jeans that we wore when we were 30, even though our weight might not have changed. But distribution.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. I went into my gyno and I was like, oh my God, I put on so much weight. And she held my chart out and she's like, you are the same. My body's changed. And you know what?
Okay.
That's great. And here's where I am today. And I don't want to be back there. I want to be here and I want to be living the life I'm living right now. And again, this is that thing that leads to clutter. If you have a closet full of clothes that don't fit you anymore for any whatever reason, you're putting yourself in the past, you're getting stuck in the past, and you're telling yourself that there's something wrong with you. And so
you're shaming yourself for it's not fitting or you not using it. I think that's a very interesting part of the psychosocial dynamic of clutter and clearing out.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, you're here today. I mean, I tell this story. My blessed grandmother lived to be 101, and I took her to the doctor. She was like 98 to get a checkup. And the doctor was like, okay, just here's a robe and take your bra off. And my grandma was like, oh, I stopped wearing a bra like 20 years ago. Like, I don't wear a bra anymore. And I was like, good for you. Like, she's just like, I don't need it anymore. And so I think that there's, an acceptance and an embracing of where we are today, which is fantastic.
We are going to need to take a break. But before we do so, I want to talk, or maybe set us up for when we come back from the break, about how we curate our stuff. Like, how do we go through the house and say, this stays, this goes? And it's probably best to wait on that. But I'm really curious about your cliff notes to that, because it sets up a hierarchy of need that may help set us on the path to decluttering a bit more easily. The book we're talking about today is Make Space for Happiness, How to Stop Attracting Clutter and Start Magnetizing the Life You Want. My guest today is Tracy McCubbin. To learn more, please go to dClutterify.com, and that's with the letter D, dClutterify.com. You can find Tracy on Twitter at Tracy_McCubbin, and on Facebook, you can also find her at This is Tracy McCubbin, and on Instagram, she is Tracy McCubbin. That's a lot. That's a lot, but you can find
I know.
it.
I need to declutter.
She
my
needs to
handles.
declutter her social media. Here we go to the break. We'll be right back.
Each day we have the intellectual freedom to be happy or the liberty to be miserable, regardless of external circumstance. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, urge them to seek professional support because good psychological health is vital in achieving a satisfying life. Visit harvestinghappiness.com for psychosocial educational resources to boost emotional and social intelligence. Like what you hear on Harvesting Happiness? Sharing is caring. Pay it forward by spreading the word to your tribe through social media. Find us at Harvesting Happiness on Facebook and me at Lisa Kamen on Twitter. And we're back continuing the conversation with Tracy McCubbin. We're talking about decluttering the nooks and crannies of our lives. And we're talking about her book, Make Space for Happiness, How to Stop Attracting Clutter and Start Magnetizing the Life You Want. Let's get back to it.
So Tracy, prior to the break, we talked about, well, we promised our listeners we were going to talk about curating our stuff, setting up a hierarchy of needs so you can guide us like where to start when we're in overwhelm.
This is great. So I've come up with 5 questions that you can ask yourself about anything in your house or office or car or garage. These are fantastic. So first of all, do you use it on a semi-regular basis, right? I have a giant platter. I use it every Thanksgiving. Little hard to store, but I've used it for 25 Thanksgivings. I use it. So do you use it on a semi-regular basis? 2, is this item making you money? Do you currently use it to make money? And I'm not talking about that garage sale that you're going to have someday. Like, is this a part of your income stream? This one's great. If you let go of this item, could you buy it again for a reasonable price or could you borrow it for someone? You know, so many times people put things in storage like, oh, I might need it someday. And then they're paying to store it. And it's like, well, you could have bought that 15 times over. So is the return on investment worth it? This is my favorite. Do you have a place to store it? Do you have a place to store it? You know, you live in the house that you live in. You have a finite amount of space. That's the way it is. People say to me all the time, oh, I just need a bigger house. I'm like, well, you're just going to fill that with stuff too. Like accepting where you live and do you have a place to store it? And then the last one is, do you love it? Do you just love it? We just have some things in our lives that we just love. And truly, I'm not saying you feel guilty because someone gave it to you, because it reminds you. I'm saying that you love it. Like you look at, I have these 2 pillows. I got the fabric on one of my favorite trips to Morocco. I love them. They're not super practical. My husband hates them. But every time I look at them, I remember that trip and I love them and they're staying. So these 5 questions are fantastic. And just, I'll sneak it in. If people didn't write them down, if you go to my website, you can sign up for the newsletter and I'll send you a PDF of these. Oh,
perfect. Something I picked up on, which is the floor space, right? Like the real estate is valuable. All of us, no matter how big or small our houses are, that storage space is coveted. Like I'm looking at my office here over there and it's like, oof. Girl.
And here's the thing you have to understand, like, obviously you can do the math if you're renting an outside storage space, you know what you're paying, but you're paying for your house. So if you have a room that has become a storage depot and you can't even use it, you're paying for that, right? There's a cost. Or, you know, I have people, like one of the biggest motivators for people to call my company is they're like, we're having company to come stay and I don't have a room to put them in. You know, I have an extra bedroom, but I can't use it as a bedroom. So not only are you paying for it in your house, but then your friends are staying in a hotel. So there's a direct cost. And it's like you said, that is, you know, that's real estate. That's real estate that you're paying for.
And visual pollution. Like I look in my space and I see it's kind of a funky storage situation over to my left. And I think that is visual pollution. I mean, it gives me a little bit of anxiety. It makes me not feel content or serene in my work environment. And I'm sure everybody listening can relate to what I'm saying.
And think about this, like that visual pollution is a continuum, right? That everyone
Yes.
has,
Doesn't end.
Well, but also it's what works for one person doesn't work for the other. But I will tell you that everybody has a breaking point. Everybody gets to a point where it's too much, because every time you're looking at it, it's a decision. Do I need this? Do I want this? Where does it live? You're in overwhelm. If your closet is stuffed, then every morning when you get dressed, you're like, am I ever going to wear that again? You kick yourself into decision fatigue before you even start your day.
I love that. Decision fatigue.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Exactly. And so it doesn't, I'm not a minimalist. I like my funky finds and thrift store. And, we have a lot of art hanging, but we don't have clutter. Everything in our house we use or we love. And so I think people need to understand that all that clutter is sapping your energy.
Yeah. We're nearly out of time, and I want to make sure that we cover some of these quick suggestions, these quick tips for clearing clutter, whether it's in your car, in your office, or in your home. So go ahead, give us some food for thought here.
These are great. So these are my things to declutter in under 5 minutes. They're all on my Instagram. You can go back. I've got a playlist. You can find them. They're unbelievable. I mean, the other day, summer's coming. I was like, old sunscreen. Take 5 minutes. Go through your sunscreen. Is it expired? Did you not like it? Gone. The other one that was a big hit, underwear. Take 5 minutes and go through your underwear drawer. Are they ripped? Are they torn? Is the elastic out? Gone. And the thing about these 5-minute coffee mugs, this one was they're so attached to their coffee mugs. Like, it's a coffee mug. Coffee mugs was great. Go through it. And the thing about these 5-minute decluttering challenges is that if you do them one a day, that's 5-10 minutes. All of a sudden, you're going to do your whole house. Like, people DM me all the time. They're like, I did all 50 of your challenges and my house is decluttered. And it wasn't this huge project. So if decluttering is overwhelming for you, take it in these little bite-sized chunks, little changes.
The pen jars, where you keep all your pens, which of like 75% of them are dried out and useless, gone. That's a good one. The car, you and I talked about that.
Yeah, the car is amazing. I was saying to you that, when I'm on hold on the phone now, I'll just go through my photos on my phone and delete photos. Like, how many pictures of my old parking space do I need? Because I can never remember where I park, And so you take 5 minutes, I'm on hold. Let me just delete some pictures. And so I think I'm really talking to people about decluttering as a regular practice, right? We do it like housekeeping, like tidying up. You do it regularly. And if you can do it in that way, it's not so overwhelming. And you're like, oh, I can make a little difference today. Oh, I did. The other day I walked in the house, our coat rack was, I don't know what happened. And I was like, I'm going to take 5 minutes, declutter our coat rack. Some coats went back in the closet, others went away. In 5 minutes, I was like, oh, the entryway is so much better when I walk in. So if you can break it down into these 5-minute little decluttering challenges, you're going to make a huge difference.
Oh, I do like that front entry hall area. In our house, it's like the 50 pairs of shoes. Like, do we really need 50 pairs of shoes for all 4 seasons at the front door? No. So I'm going to go tackle that today, I think.
Great.
It'll make Christopher very happy.
Yeah. And it makes such a difference. You walk in your door and you're like, great, I'm not walking into a big mess.
Here's another one that I really like. I have been making a conscious effort to whittle down the amount of cleaning products I use because it creates more storage, right? Like, we do not need 800 cleaning products in our house. We probably need like a dozen.
Yeah. Yes. I think that is a fantastic one. And one nobody ever thinks about. Like, go under your sink, go in the laundry room, like, realize I don't like the scent of that one. That one didn't work. Just take it, and do it. And then realize also, like, you can kind of get down to just a couple. Like you don't need, if you need a specialty one, sure. But all of a sudden you've got all these half-used jars or almost to the bottom. You know what's one of my favorite 5-minute ones? Your shower. Go in your shower.
I just did that actually.
And all of a sudden you're like, why do I have 6 bottles that have one? Like just use it, get rid of it, use the shampoo.
Yep.
That one is so satisfying.
So these are little things. What I love about your suggestions and ways to begin down the decluttering of one's life track is the tiny bites. Like this is what you said. You take little teeny bites, little teeny interventions, and then eventually you're cooking with gas and you're inspired to do more, and it becomes fun.
Exactly. And if it's difficult for you, if decluttering doesn't come naturally, you're building a muscle, right? You're doing the activity. It's almost like, in a weird way, cognitive behavior therapy. Like you do the activity and you get a positive result and you're like, oh, this wasn't so hard. And the payoff is fantastic. Let me do another one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're sort of at the end and you're like, all right, I'm ready to tackle my dead mother's furniture that's been in my garage for 10 years, that you can build up to the big stuff.
Yeah. In metaphorically, like as well, like the inner big stuff that we declutter or that we clutter ourselves with. We're out of time. I want to send our listeners over to dClutterify.com, and that's with the letter D, dClutterify.com. You can find Tracy, and I know she needs to declutterify her social media, but I'm going to give it to you on Twitter at Tracy_McCubbin, on Facebook at This is Tracy McCubbin, on Instagram at Tracy McCubbin. And that's where you've got all those fun little videos, right? Or that you're.
Yeah. Instagram's the place. The videos are amazing. There's a playlist and it's just, people are having, I mean, the amount of DMs of just people like, I did it. I've been doing it and I did it. So if you're having trouble getting started, come over there and you're going to be very inspired.
And you'll declutterify or declutter the nooks and crannies of your life. And Tracy McCubbin is there to help. Tracy, as always, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Harvesting Happiness today. This is Lisa Cypers Kamen on behalf of my guest, Tracy McCubbin, wishing you kind thoughts, kinder words, and the kindest of actions. Until next time, remember, happiness is an inside job. Happiness is your inside job. Please go out and rock your day and remember to be kind to one another. Keep harvesting your own happiness anytime and anywhere from the comfort of wherever you are. Subscribe, listen, and share hundreds of downloadable episodes from our mental muscle toning libraries at harvestinghappinesstalkradio.com, toginet.com, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about my global consulting services, please visit harvestinghappiness.com. Spread more joy by liking us on Facebook at Harvesting Happiness and following me on Twitter at Lisa Kamen. Harvesting Happiness is produced by me, Lisa Cypers Kamen, Andrea Mungeli, Robin Boyd, Andrea Daly, and the awesome team at Podfly Productions, including Eric Begay, Kimberly Beck, and Alec Gus, in collaboration with TogiNet Radio, KBUU, RadioMalibu.net, and is available on PRX, the Public Radio Exchange.